was not unusual for him to come over to a House member's office. He'd say, I want to have a meeting, I will come to your office. And not unusual for him, as I said, quite unusual for a senator. He would invite House members, even Republicans, to the Hideaway in the Capitol. He always treated people so beautifully, so beautifully. He had, again, an influence on all of us. And Steny Hoyer, I know was here, I don't know if Steny is still here, but we both worked in Danny Brewster's office in January 1963. I was going to say 93. 1963, how did all those years go by when Teddy, we were all starting at the same time, as interns, as assistants, et cetera, and Teddy as a senator. We didn't know him, I didn't, but anyway, what I did know is that right from the start, the Kennedy standard of excellence was well known on Capitol Hill. We were told as workers in the office that in the Kennedy office, constituent mail that came in the morning would be answered by the evening. It was a standard, we were told, that was begun by President Kennedy when he was a senator, and one, of course, that was later carried on jointly with Senators Bobby and Teddy Kennedy. But that remained the standard. And when I went to Congress 20 years later, that's what I told my staff in Senator Kennedy's office. So what was very important to him was his love of his constituents, his love of Massachusetts. He knew that every opportunity he had to serve our country sprang from them. I remember, I reminded him of this the day I was elected Speaker. He sent me this big presentation, I guess you would call it, Ed. It was a framed composition of all pictures of all of the people who had ever served as Speaker of the House. And in the center, bigger than the others, was this woman's picture, the first woman Speaker of the House. And he was so excited about the fact that he had come up with that idea. So when I saw him that day and thanked him in person for it, he said, you know, he always had that way of making you feel very special. Here are all these speakers. You are the center of it all now. And I said, you know, Teddy, I'm not just the first woman Speaker of the House. I'm the first Californian to be Speaker of the House. And he reminded me that there were 8 speakers from Massachusetts in the display back to Massachusetts. But he also said to me, and he did write this in the note, he said, I'm just thinking of what my mother would say. She would say, tell that young, well, everything's relative, tell that young woman Speaker of the House, Nancy, that it's going to be 20 or 30 years before she ever gets tired. So that was what he thought about Rose and the tirelessness of the Kennedy enthusiasm for everything. His relationship with the House became even more special. Oh, did I tell you my role was to tell you about his relationship with the House? His role with the House became very, very special when Patrick was elected to Congress. It was a beautiful sight to see, father and son. He took such pride in Patrick's leadership, and I think he learned a thing or two from Patrick, certainly about the House. And weren't we all proud to see the Kennedy legislation, the mental health parity legislation, pass the Congress of the United States. So we all took pride in the respect that he had for our House of Representatives, the attention he paid to members individually, the encouragement he gave us all. And it was our honor and privilege to work with him on so many of the issues, whether it was the minimum wage. Ted Kennedy was there in the lead, whether it was the minimum wage, No Child Left Behind, S-chip, whether it was issues that relate to our men and women in the military, whether it was IDEA for our children with disabilities, whether it was, I know Chris Stott is here and worked closely with the family and medical leave, and any subject almost that you could name, Ted Kennedy was there. And when everyone comes to study at the Institute of the United States Senate, and they see the record of achievement for decades, his decades of service, they will know that Ted Kennedy was there. Thank you all very much.